Hey guys, I'm Emily Powers and today I'm going to be painting a rose. This is my picture that I'm using and I'm going to do it on a 9 by 12 canvas panel, and I already sketched it out, but I'll show you how to draw it in a minute. And my brushes are a 3/8 inch angle and a 3/8 inch filbert. So I think I'm just going to need those two. But this is the painting I already did. I don't know if I can get all of it on the screen. There we go. But I kind of did it once just to kind of see how I would do it. And I think it came out pretty good. It's really bright red. But I am going to draw it first and then do the background around my drawing and then paint in the rose. So you could do it the way I'm doing it, or you could also do it two other ways. You could completely do the whole canvas gray, draw on top and paint on top of that, or you can put the rose in first and then put the background around it. So you can do it whichever way feels more comfortable to you. I like doing the rose after I do the background, but leaving the white behind the rose because that makes the rose brighter, and also I don't have to end up going around the rose when I'm doing my background. So the paint colors I'm using are titanium white, crimson, cadmium red medium, cadmium orange, phthalo green, ultramarine blue, and burnt umber. So I'm gonna start by drawing it, and the center of it is, if you mark the middle, it's like right off of the middle, and then it ends pretty much the same distance on the opposite direction. So if you mark like a spot in the middle, it kind of has this curve and then a little hump down, and then it slants this way, and kind of there's like a small petal right in here. So kind of make that shape. It's like a slanted line at the top, and then it curves, and then it curves back up again. And then, actually, this kind of got off. It's not, okay. Then we're gonna take this petal, and it's gonna kind of go in there, and then curve around here. And so all in here is this petal. And then there's like a dark section right here where it's just kind of black, and the next petal starts over here and goes around. And then there's like a dip in, and then a hump that goes back up, and then kind of line, and then it goes back up and around. And then there's going to be another petal right here. So you're going to slant it right up against where this one stopped, and then come back and do one this way and go down. So this is all one petal, and then right where this crease is, a diagonal line comes down that way. So it's kind of like it comes to a point, and kind of there's like a crease in the petal. And then this petal goes right up underneath that last one. And there's like a line here, so it kind of comes in just a little bit. And then there's another line that's bigger. It's going to be more space in between here, and then it's going to kind of come together right here. So that's kind of where the petal is kind of curving in. And there's another spot over here actually where this petal does it. So it's just kind of curving. So we're going to paint it in a little better to where you can tell that's what it's doing. But right now we're just drawing to show where we need to paint it. So this one's got like a crease, and then another petal here that's curving, and it stops like right here. And so you can kind of see where it's, this is the next petal, so it stops right here. And then let's see, this petal comes and cuts off right where this one stops. It comes down and cuts off this one too. So it's almost like a big arch. And then it comes this way and back in into this big circle. So this is where you're like kind of looking into the rose again, where there's another dark area. And then it comes over, and there's some that's curving in right here. And it kind of goes almost throughout the whole thing, but it stops there. There's like a indent, kind of, or actually maybe a little bit more up. And then it's very small, and then it starts again where this corner came. And then this petal comes right where this one stopped. It's going to curve around and stop right there where it's cut off by another petal, but you can see just a little bit of its back side right there. And then it's cut off here, and then there's like a dent right there. And it curves back in this way, and then back over. And then you can see the back of that. So this is where it's curving in, and this is where it is kind of coming. You can see it better right here. So it's curved out that way, and this part is the same petal, just it hasn't curved in there yet. So let's see, then I'll start with this one. So there's like a little area right here where you can see the background, but it starts on this little area here and goes right next to this petal and comes around. And this is the petal that's going to come just a little over from the center, just like this center of the rose was just a little off the center. It's the same distance, just on the other side where this is going to come. And then it's going to get cut off by another petal that kind of vanishes over here. Let's See, it kind of like vanishes. You might end up just kind of cutting it off to show that's the petal, but, and then comes down and back in. So there's like a triangle kind of here, and then it comes back in, and it kind of fades here because it's so dark you kind of can't see where one petal stops and the other one starts. It's just kind of black in here. And then this one starts going down and then kind of back up and kind of wiggles right there, and then it goes back up and meets right where this petal is. And then another petal starting here, and it kind of, this one's all bumpy at the end. And then there's an indent here, and it ends where this petal is. And there's kind of like a crease right here that kind of happens. So all in here is dark and all in here is light. So sometimes roses do that to where, see how it's the same petal, it's just really quickly changes from dark to light. And then this petal comes right off from where this hump was and curves around, and it's kind of a funny shape. It kind of does two, kind of like the top of a heart, and then goes down and back around and kind of does another heart shape, top anyway, and then comes back, and I think it's the same petal, doesn't completely end, and it keeps going this way and back and gets cut off. So then the other end starts at the edge of this where that petal curved in and goes out that way and then back in this way. And then the stem is right off there, and there's some leaves that are kind of faded. But the drawing is probably a little bit harder than the rest of it, just getting it shaped right. But every rose is going to be shaped a little different. And really a way that you can kind of tell if you got everything right is that this petal should kind of start on the 4th, and then it should kind of have the crease on the 8th mark. And then, let's see, what's another mark you could do? On the other 4th, this crease is kind of right above the other 4th. So you can kind of, I got this picture off of Pixabay. If you look up rose or red rose, you might could find it. You could print it out yourself, and you can kind of cut the picture into 4ths and 8ths and things and see where the corners and things are in the petals, and then adjust your drawing by that. So I'm just going to start with my filbert and make a gray for the background. So I'm going to do blue, the ultramarine blue, and the burnt umber, and mix those together, and it's going to be really, really dark. It's almost black. And then add some whites to it. And then, let's see, I want it a little darker than that. And this is more on the blue side. So what I'm going to do is I want some on the blue side and some on the brown side. So I'm going to skip up some and add more brown to it. And see, you can tell these two grays, they're both gray, but this one's more brown and this one's more blue. And then I'm going to take some more white and add it to each of them. So you got the lighter and then you got the darker. So I'm going to start with this light bluish gray. And I'm going to go around my picture or my rose drawing. And if you go slightly over, it's okay. You can cover back over it with white or something like that. But it's just nice to be able to just, as long as you get it as close to the edge as possible without going over, it makes it easier later. It won't be as hard to fill in the rose once we get to that part. And this is probably, I would say, maybe the easiest part of this is the background. And you really don't have to worry about your brush strokes being perfect. So now I just made really dark with that. But you don't have to worry about it being like covering up all your brush strokes, because I'm leaving it to where you can see it really well. I want to be able to see my brush strokes. That's just the way I like to do this, or on this painting anyway. I do it differently. Lots of, I do some like this and some of them I blend out, but this is the way I wanted to do this one, so. I'm gonna put a little bit more blue in here because it had some more blue in it. And if you need to, you can spray your canvas down with water in a spray bottle, and it can help the paint flow a little better. And you have to go quickly. You don't want, when you're blending like this, you don't want any area to dry before you get to it. If it starts getting all sticky and not really wanting to mix well, then you need to dry it or let it dry completely before you keep going, because otherwise it'll just leave you kind of like a white blob, and the more you try to cover over it, it will just get bigger. So you just need to be patient and let it dry before you keep going. But I'm trying not to have to do that, so I'm trying to go fast. And the reason I did this smaller brush, I did a bigger brush on my other painting because it was a little bigger. But the reason I chose the smaller brush this time is because I wanted to be able to get in the creases of the rose easier, and the bigger brush I think would have been a little bit too big for it. So it's kind of taken me a while to get this main area, but I think it'll help me when I'm going against the rose not to get into it. So if you enjoy this video, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. I have some other painting tutorials on my channel, and I'm coming out with more every Friday. So we're going to be doing, let's see, I think it's a poppy field next week. See, I have it right here. So we're going to be doing this one next week. So I have the bird and the fox, and this one should be on there. And we're going to be doing this one, these, in January. So it should be really fun. And that was when I did the fox video. It was actually my second time doing a fox. The first was when I was practicing. So that one was kind of cool. I don't do a whole lot of animals, or not very often anyway. When I do animals, it's normally birds. So that one was fun. And it's kind of a little more brown down here with a little bit of blue right up here. I'm going to dip my brush in water to help it flow better. Sometimes you need to add water to your brush so that it will go on a little smoother. So you can be creative with this. Like I said, you could do a different technique. You could blend it out more, or you can do it the way I'm doing it. You could do it more gray or more blue, or you could even do it another color if you wanted to. But I think paintings like this, where it's like a gray and black with red, they're paintings like that I think look really pretty. I really like them. And it seems like a lot of people decorate with stuff like that, so. And this would probably look really cool like on a big canvas, like above a bed or a couch or something. If your room theme is gray and red, that would look really cool. Okay, so in here, where my leaves are, I'm going to take some of the green and just kind of put it in there. Actually, I'm going to neutralize it with the brown so it's not so green. I'm going to try to kind of blend it out. I just want a little bit of that. And you could take your gray and just go all in there and then add the green later. And I'm going to add some lighter greens over top once this dries, so it's not just like one green color. It'll have a few differences in there. So I'm going to put some kind of right in here, and in here. Okay, so see, it doesn't really have to, you don't have to define it as a leaf, just kind of put some green back there. So there's some more blue back here. It's a little bit more defined, but it's blue. So this is why I got the small brushes, so I can get in these corners and I won't go too far into the flower. Okay, and then I'm going to take the brown I have with some of the gray and put in a stem. And then I'll take some of the white that I had with it to lighten it and go, see, right above it to kind of highlight it. And then I want to take that dark again, and there's like a thorn poking out right there. And there's dark next to it, kind of like a shadow. So you don't really have to fix the highlight from the dark because there's dark there anyway. And then there's some brown in here and kind of some in here. And you don't have to make it look like it is attached anywhere specific. Just see it's got, there's a line of kind of brown, but you don't have to do anything but just put some lines where those green areas are. So I'm going to rinse my brush off and get my angle brush now. So that part went by pretty fast. So now we're going to do the rose, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this dark color, and it's going to be like our black for where the dark areas are. So there's some in here. And see how you can, I don't know if you can see, but I can tell, I can see the white this first time. And so I'm going to need to go over this probably another time. That's okay. We'll cover it better later. So I'm going to add some of this dark to the crimson to make it a dark red. And you can see now, you can see the white behind. So we're going to have to go over it more than once. So now I got this crimson straight. Man, I got all tongue-tied. And then I'm going to take the dark and go under it. So you want to keep it lighter than darker. If you get it too dark, then it'll be harder with these transparent colors to lighten it back up. It's because I was having a hard time to lighten it when I went back the second time on my first painting of this. I did it too dark in certain places and it wasn't really wanting to get lighter. And also where I would put the gray, it was hard to get that back in. So you want to keep it lighter other than dark. And then there's this petal in here. And I'm going to take this dark color to define where that ends. There we go. And then I'll take what's in my brush and put it down. I think what I might do is add some whites to these colors, because the white, it covers better, and might, then when we go over the second time, maybe it'll actually cover completely. It'd probably cover completely even if we didn't add white, but I don't know, we'll see. And then we're going to take this light, put it in. I'm going to take this and go back right there and go quite to the edge of the petal. And then I'm going to take this dark gray and go right back in there. Okay, and so this red that I'm getting right now, the cadmium red medium, is going to be kind of like our main color. Like that's where the highlights are going to be. So I guess maybe the crimson, there's a big part of that in there too. But the light parts where you can see the color most clearly is going to be this color. And there's also some right here where this crease is. Put right there. And then I'll get the crimson, put it in. I think this is going to turn out better, or it's going to be easier to get it the way I want this time than when I practiced, because I did it too dark. So I think and I'll take the dark color again and put it right up in that corner. Blend it in. Okay. And then on this side it's darker. And then it gets even darker down here on this side. And I'll put a little bit more over there. Okay. Then I'll take the cadmium red medium and put that right up against the edge of this one. And this is going way faster than my first one too, because it was so much bigger. The rose was like double the size, so this feels like it's going so fast. This is really one of my longer videos. Right now I have it to where I do a longer video, and the next week I do kind of an easier and shorter video, and then the next week I do a longer video again. So this is supposed to be the harder, longer one, but I don't know that it's going to be really longer. I would say that it's harder than some of my other ones, but not necessarily longer. It may take just maybe a little over than an hour, and then again it might take 2. I timed myself when I did the first one, but it's going to be different because it was a different size. So okay, I'll take this light red again. I may not need to use that orange, but I put it out because I used a little bit on my first picture. So I guess I could have just kept it out and got it out of the tube if I needed it, but so you could do this, I would think, with just one of these reds, but the reason I have 2 is because this one's more orange and this one's more red, like bright red. So you're not going to get as many different colors as I'm getting. It would be kind of completely orange or completely red. So in this one, I kind of see areas, most of the areas are more orange, but there are a few highlight areas that are actually pink. So that's why it's nice to have the crimson and the orangey red, because then you get to have the cadmium red medium for the orange in the bulk of the highlights, and then the few areas that are different, you'll have the pink too. So I'm gonna put this cadmium red medium on this corner where it curves too. So you can see what I'm doing is taking the cadmium red medium and putting the top of the flower, or the light parts of the flower, first, and then after that I put the crimson and I blend it, and then I put the dark gray after. So I mixed some cadmium red light and some crimson together so that it wouldn't be, so I would still be able to see where this curve is. If I did the same color, it'd be hard for me to tell where the petal stopped, but I can kind of see with it like this. So, and then I'll do straight crimson down here. And really, the petal has a shadow from the petal above it, so the shadow kind of comes right in here and then kind of comes in here. So but I'm keeping it light because I don't want to end up getting it too dark and then putting the shadow too far over and having being able to see through where I had the dark before. Okay, and now, actually I think I'll take a little bit more of the dark right here, where that is, just a little bit. Now I'm going to mix more of that dark gray, because I don't have any more. And this is similar to Payne's Gray, so if you had that, you could probably use that instead of mixing it. So Payne's Gray is ultramarine blue and black. So you won't be able to get the brown and the blue in the light colors like I am. It would just be one color. You couldn't change it unless you had either ultramarine blue or burnt umber, but you could get a similar color. If you didn't really care to change from blue to brown, then you could do it that way. So I thought it would be really cool to do some like palette knife paintings, or a Q-tip one, or like cotton swab or something like that. But I'm not really sure what picture I would use. I just saw a really cool palette knife, or not palette knife, a really cool painting of peonies, and it was done with a brush that was square at the end, I think. So it's either an angle or bright or something like that. I don't remember which one it was, but they were kind of doing it like a one-stroke painting. So like where you just, each petal is one stroke of the brush instead of like what we're doing here. We're doing a lot of brush strokes to do one petal. They did it like each petal was one brush stroke. So I think that would be really cool. And they look really fun. They're impressionist style. So I think that would be cool. And I have an impressionist style painting already of a tree. And it's for beginners, but it's not exactly the same. What I saw yesterday was really cool. So I'm going to do one here, and it's kind of dark right here, and it kind of almost blends in. I like doing the other side of the rose because it's kind of hard for me to see where I'm getting this brush when it's on this side. When it's on the other side, I can clearly see where I'm going, but it's not as easy on this side. Okay, so now I'm going to get my crimson and blend it in. And wipe my brush off and get the cadmium red. It's really a good idea to start with a light color. I've just swapped there, doing the dark first. I think it's good to do the lighter color because if you do the darker first, then you have the darker on your brush and then it tends to stay dark. So I need to do the lighter first. But you can do it whichever way you want. You could really start out with these outer petals first and work in if you like doing it that way. Start on this one. And then I'll take the crimson and go down. Okay, and then I'm going to take maybe some of this with that color for the little area right in here. You see. And then let's do this petal. So it's got a little bit of this orangey red, like right here. But then the rest of it's kind of more crimson colored. And there's a little bit of this really dark right in there. So then we'll go back to the light color. It's okay, girl. My dog will wake up and suddenly start growling. I don't know why she does that. It's almost like she thinks as soon as she wakes up, somebody's going to be here. She has to protect me. It's kind of weird. Unless she wakes up because she hears something like a squirrel outside. It's kind of like in the movie Up, where the dog barks at the squirrels. She does that. She was doing it just today. She was having a cow because the squirrel was outside. Okay, and then I'm going to take some of the crimson color and go with the bottom of this one. And actually, I think I'll leave that for now. We'll define it more next time. So this area, the petal, starts light, and then it has this crimson color with the white. So this is the area I was saying was pink colored. So it's like a light pink. Okay, and then I'll do some crimson right here. And then do some of this orangey red, cadmium red, medium. And then I'll take this dark color and go right up against that other petal. And then I'll take the crimson with it. And this is where I said that it curves, so it quickly turns to a different color. And this is where it kind of is bumpy. I think I'll add some white to this because I'm going over that, and I want to be able to see. As long as I cover over the background, then the next time it should be fine. As long as I don't see like a dark halo. Okay. I'm gonna rinse my brush out just for a minute. Kind of get up there. I don't want the paint up there. Okay. And I'll take this dark color and put it right here. And I will do cadmium red medium right up against that edge. And I'm going to add white to it so that I don't have to go over it too many more times. So then it gets lighter. Actually, I will get some of this orange. If you didn't have that, that's okay, but it's like almost yellowy or orange right there. And then some more red over this way. And then I'll do some right there and some of the crimson on this other side. Okay, so it's got this like pocket of dark and then suddenly gets to light. I'm not sure. Maybe it's almost like two petals, like it cuts off right there. I'm not sure, but I'm just going by the picture. As long as I do what the picture says, it should come out right. So, and I'll put some dark right up against there. And then take the red and blend in with it. Okay, and then I'll take the crimson and go up. It actually still has some of that darker color. It's not bright red like the other areas of the rose are. And then as we go up, it gets brighter. Oops. And if you go over a little too far at any point, you can take like a wet towel or something and wipe it off. And then I'll take the bright red when I get up to here, and I'll add white to it to cover over that area that I got too much brown in, or gray in, I mean. And then it's kind of pink right here. Okay, so now our rose is completely filled in, and you can kind of see, even though you can see through the canvas and everything, and it's, you know, you can tell it's not finished, it really looks kind of cool with, you can tell what it's going to look like. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my filbert again with this. I'm going to take the gray that I had, and I'm going to kind of water it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all in here where my background was, and I'm going to do a wash, which is where you take the color and water it down, or add glazing medium or something, and go over a surface. So the reason I'm doing that is because it kind of, you can see the background and pretty much all over this, because I didn't pre-paint the background with anything, and I'm using student acrylics, so it's more see-through paint. They're not as fluid as craft acrylics, but they're kind of like that. I've been using them forever, and I want to get more professional, but I can't yet, so. And you may not have to do this if your paint is thick enough that it covers pretty well. It may be just fine. And also, if you did this, you may just want to do it because you want the colors to change. So you can see it's different than when I first put it on. So you can wash over with a slightly different color and change the background color. That's kind of cool. And when I'm washing over with this dark color, it's got some of the red in it, which it didn't have before, but it's actually kind of pretty because it's almost purple. acrylic paint tends to dry slightly darker than when you first put it on. So I don't see, with the student paint, I don't see a huge difference. I think it's mainly with the heavy body that it changes a lot, but it does change a little bit. So you have to watch for that too. So if it's a color that you want and it's slightly, you want it that color, then you might want to just make it slightly lighter so that it'll dry the right color. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my green and my white, and I'm going to add some orange to it to kind of neutralize it a little bit, but it's like a mint green. And I'm going to try to dry brush it kind of, which means don't use much paint and keep your brush dry. And I'm just going to kind of go over it and make some lighter spots right there where my leaves are. And the leaves are a little more yellow than I'm making them, but yellow wasn't on my palette and I didn't really want to add yellow just for that. So, okay, so this middle's dry, so we'll go back over and I'll get the dark gray and go right in the middle, and then I'll get the cadmium red medium. And this petal is mainly dark. It's not a whole lot of light. It's mainly dark color. So it's like black right in here. Okay, and then there's this small petal right in here that's, there's like a notch in it right there. And then it it ends right in here and starts the next petal. And then down in the rose is really dark. So you can see the second time that we go over this, it really gets darker. So you had to put that first layer though for it to show up like this the second time. And you may not have to go over, maybe a little different if you're using the professional, like I said, but I'll hopefully switch to the professional if I can get the YouTube going and sell my paintings at art festivals and stuff. maybe eventually I'll be able to get the professional acrylic. And I'll take open here. I can hear my dog breathing. She is really noisy when she sleeps. And it's kind of funny sometimes because you just like, that's all you hear is her breathing in and out and in and out. So if you hear some weird noise in the back, it's probably her breathing. Okay, and then I'll put, there's some orange around here. And it's kind of got some of the black mixed into it, which normally I wouldn't like. But right now I like it because it is kind of in shadow, so it makes it perfect. Because this petal right above it is kind of going over it, making it not as noticeable. Or in the shadow, I mean. And then there, I'm gonna try to get as much of that out as I can, and then get the red and do some bright right here. So I want it to be really bright. And then I'll take the crimson and go over, because it's just bright like along the tip, and then it gets darker, and then it's like black all in here. And it's really dark all up here. Okay, and then, let's see, fade that out a little bit. Okay, and then I'll do this one that's right here. Fill it in. And, let me take that and go above it. Kind of going back over what I already did because it kind of went too far over, so I was just pushing it down further so it would not look funny anymore. Okay, and there's some of this light right here, and then it gets dark. And then there's this dark color. keep running out of this black. It's a good thing I got plenty of brown and blue because it's like I'm using a lot of it. Okay. Put some along the edge. I'm gonna fade it out. Okay. And then I'll rinse my brush from that black. And get this red. Put it up there. And it's got some dark color kind of right in here. And in the middle of this. And then I'll go back with the crimson right in here where that was. And I'm going to take some white with my red. I'm going to do like a highlight right above that. Right above where that is. In any area that you want to brighten it up, you can put that light color there. And don't worry, I know it looks kind of weird right now, but we're going to do something else with this light color later, or not really with this light color, but we're going to do something over it, which is going to change the look. So now I'm going to do this big petal. I don't know what that noise was over there. I don't know if you heard that. It sounded like a squeaking noise. I don't know. And then I'm going to take the crimson and put it right in here. And I'll actually take some of the orangey red over it. Put that with it. This is where the shadows from the other petals are going. So there's one that's like right in here, and then one that's over here. And I'm going to kind of blend it so it's not such a harsh line. And then I'll take the dark and put some right in here. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Okay, and now I'll do this one, I think. I'm just kind of jumping all over the place. It's just like whatever one I decide to do, that's the one I'm going to do. And you could change the color of the rose too if you wanted. Like I was saying earlier about changing the background to a different color or doing more gray or brown. You could do the same thing with the rose itself. You could make changes to it. So you could find a picture of a pink rose and take the highlights and replace it with that color, with the red that we were using. And then you could take the middle color and replace it with the red or the crimson we're using. And you could take the dark, whatever colors in the dark areas, and replace it with what we're using. So just replace, you could find a picture of different color roses and replace the colors to adjust it and make it a different color than what we're doing. Actually, this one is not, really doesn't have any of this orange in it. It's pretty much all crimson colored. So you could do a white rose or a yellow rose. I love yellow roses. They're just so pretty to me. I don't like, most of the time when someone asks me like what my favorite color is, or you know, what my favorite something is, favorite food or whatever it is, most of the time I say I like a bunch of different stuff because, you know, there's so many of whatever it is that I can't choose. But I gotta say probably my favorite flower is a yellow rose because they're just so pretty to me. Which is kind of weird because I really in general don't like yellow. Like the color yellow, I normally don't like it. Which, that's not always true because in paintings where there's like a yellow sunset or something, I like that. But in general, if I'm gonna get to choose a color of something, I don't really pick yellow. It's just not a color I lean towards, but I really like yellow roses. Certain colors of yellow I just really do like. And I'm going to take some red and go back over that. Kind of got into the next petal. And there's some area right there I missed, kind of. Now I'll do this back one, so it doesn't have a whole lot of red in it, or a whole lot of the orangey red in it, but it does have a little bit, so it's going to be right in here, where that is. And the rest of it is pretty much the crimson and shadows. like I'm trying to go fast. At the same time, I don't want to get over too far. But if you end up going over, you can take the gray and go back. It's like it's not wanting to go right there for some reason. I think it's in the process of drying and it's lifting. Well, I use a hair dryer whenever I need to dry. I don't think we're going to need to dry it this time. But if you're using a hair dryer that's been used for hair before, make sure that it's clean inside, because I got a hair dryer from Goodwill specifically for blow drying my paintings. And it wasn't really so good because there was one day, I forget exactly what I did. I don't remember if I dropped it or like if I dropped the hair dryer on my painting or if I just turned it on. But something happened and it shot out this, like, it shot out hair and stuff basically all over my painting with wet paint. So it was like, it was a pain to get out. I think I just ended up having to cover over some of it with paint because it was like stuck in the paint. So, but that was when I was first starting. So I'm just telling you, if you get a hair dryer just for that, make sure that it doesn't have a hair inside because it can spit out. Okay, so on the top of this little lip here, I'm getting pink. And then the bottom of it, I'm going to do the orangey red. I'm going to do a little bit more right here. Okay. And then at the edge of this petal, again, it's orange right there. And then as you get closer, it turns pink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white with maybe a little bit of red or something and go right on the edge of that. So any area you want to define it, you can put that. And I'll show you what I'm going to do after that with the highlight later. But so I'm going to take the crimson and put it here. I actually need to take some white there where I went over the edge. I'll just leave that there because it's going to need to dry before I do any more. Okay, and so we'll do this one instead. So it's got a little bit of orangey color up there. and then it goes into the crimson color. And actually, I went over here too. Tried to cover up good the first time, but it didn't, so I'm just gonna put some white there and over there and let it dry. Okay, so I'm gonna take orange. You could take this color if you wanted to. You didn't have the orange, but I'm just gonna put it right where I put all the areas that I put the lighter, the white with the red. I'm gonna go back and put some orange to kind of highlight it. With a lighter color underneath, it'll turn it brighter orange. I kind of grayed it out too much, though it's not super bright, but that's okay. Put some here, some here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my dark color. I'm going to go do a little more work on this petal while I wait for those other two to dry. Right on the edge, there's dark again, so it's almost like it's curving in. So it's dark right there before it curves. It's dark. Okay, and I'd say that's dry enough, so I'm going to take this red, put it in right here, and then the crimson color goes on this other part. And it's going to be brighter where that white was. Okay, and then I'm going to take the dark, so it's like black up in there, and take the crimson color and fill in the rest of that. So this is where it was kind of, it wasn't really smooth there, it was kind of bumpy. Okay, and then there is some dark here. I get the crimson and put it in. And then all along this line was lighter. And then crimson is kind of in this corner. in this corner. And the orange was like right up against there. And then there's some that in there. And then there's the crimson. Oops. Man, it's like I can't see. I'm blocking my view, my own view. And okay. And I'll let that sit just a little bit more so that I can do a little bit more on that petal, but I'm going to take that dark gray again and go put some more of that there. Okay, and let's see, I'm going to just put some more red there. And then I'm going to take this dark color, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of dry brush, so don't get a whole lot of paint on your brush, and kind of put some, not here, I'll let that dry because it's not wanting to go in. I need to do it when it's dry. But I'll do this petal. And there's this light line right there. And then some black is behind that. It gets blended in with the crimson color. And it's pink up along this tip or this edge. There's pink. And there's some over this way. There's some more crimson color. I need more of this so I can make this dark color. And I'm going to go against there. There's some kind of all up in here. And then I'm going to get the really dark, put some in here. gonna blend it out a little bit more. Some more of that there. And I'm going to see. Okay, that's dry now. So I'm gonna dry brush that dark color and put some, might need the dark, and put some right in there. Oops. So it's lifting right there, it wasn't dry. But right here, there's, the end is kind of dying, I guess. So it's black. And then up in here, it's dying. And let's see, I'm just seeing if there's anything else. Put a little bit more of that right there. And it looks pretty good. I didn't have to do this petal though. Again, when I did it the first time, it started to lift. Okay, so now I'll take some of the spread and go back in here to kind of make it not so harsh, and take this fix that. Okay, so it looks pretty good. Gonna rinse my brush out, and I'm gonna sign it with my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen. And let's see, thinking which side I want to put it on. You want to put it a fingers width away, so that if you frame it, it won't cover it up. Okay, so this was a fun one. So this is the one we did, and if you want to see any other of these on my channel, these are not done yet, but these should be all up there. And so we're going to do the next one in January. So this was really fun, and I hope you try it and that you enjoy painting it as much as I have. So I hope you have a good day. Bye.